Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nash, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? When I came to South Africa, the first time that I ever set my foot in South Africa, which was when I was 19 years old. We crossed the river. This was late at night. Painful memories I have because of the things that happened. So soon after we had crossed the river, there were guys that were waiting for us, that were supposed to take us back into Musina town so that we can all go on our way. Those men, they led us into a hill, and when we were in that hill, it was about 20 of us. That was when they pulled out their guns, and we had walked throughout the night. These people, what they did was that since we did not know anything about South Africa and the place where we were walking, they made us to keep on walking round and round in a circle, so much that they could get us tired, and there was no one who was allowed to stop to rest. We kept on walking and walking, and we were being told that in a couple of hours we were going to arrive in Musina town. Then when they saw that we were really exhausted and tired, and the women that had babies, the babies now were crying because some of them, they had not breastfed their children throughout the night. That was when they said, let us rest here. So when we were seated down, that was when more guys approached. They came out of nowhere. We thought that they were soldiers from the South African army, but no, they were just pretending as if they were soldiers. They were just wearing some camouflage clothes, and then they told everyone to kneel down. All the men were supposed to kneel down. The babies even cried more. The baboons even cried in the trees. It was quite a terrifying thing that was happening. They said that they were going to kill us if the babies were going to keep on making noise. This is what the mothers did. Those that had kids that were crying, they took jackets and then they covered their own babies with the jackets on the mouth so that the kids cannot cry. Some of them, it was as if they wanted to suffocate their own kids to death because of what was happening. It was quite scary. They then took me and the other guys. They said every man must remove his belt. So after they had removed your belt, then they will tie you using that belt. And then they made us to sit around a tree, and they took our shoestrings and they tied all of us to that tree. And then they started to beat us up. If you did not have money, they will beat you up. They collected all the money that we had, our IDs, they took them and they threw them away, saying that we were too stupid to cross the border with Zimbabwean IDs. After they had beaten us up, then that was when they started looking at the women. They first started with this other woman who was light-skinned, so much that we ended up feeling sorry for her, because even though they raped other women, but as for that one who was light-skinned, they said that she was going to remain behind with them. They were going to make her their wives as long as they wanted. So she remained behind. If she was still alive after that, I don't know, because 5 guys raped her, one after the other. Then after that, they started sleeping with the other women that were there. It was as if they had drank some pills that made them to keep on wanting to sleep with the women because they did not grow tired. When it was early in the morning, round about 6, that was when they started to untie each one of us, and after they would have untied you, they will tell you to choose amongst the women and you sleep with the woman. They said that they did this in order for us not to dump the women that we had, because some of these women, they had their husbands. So the husband would be sleeping on the ground, then they will take the wife and the wife will sleep on top of her husband. Then those people that were robbing us will come and then they will start to rape your wife whilst she is sleeping on top of you. After they were done with her, then they will tell us to go and sleep with those women. Then after that, the husbands, they slept with their wives and exchanged their wives. And then they told us that if we walked in such a direction, Messina was not even very far. My heart broke because after we walked for about 15 minutes, that was when we saw the railway line. When we crossed the railway line, we saw that we were already in a location in Messina. So everything that had happened, it happened so close to the place where other people were fast asleep, yet this evil deed was happening. Those women that we were with, they were crying for they had been abused throughout the night. I stayed in Messina at this other church there in Messina after I had gotten my asylum papers. That was when we heard that there was this other white farmer who was looking for people who could pick up his crops at a citrus farm that he had. That was my first job, to work on a citrus farm an hour from Messina. When we arrived there, life was really tough. We really did not have anywhere to stay. We were just staying in a very one big room, and early in the morning we would wake up and we would go and pick up the citrus fruit, the oranges, and the money that we were being given, it was not a lot. So most of the people, they used to laugh at me because I worked Sunday to Sunday, sometimes even 14 hours a day, and my co-workers began calling me donkey boss, thank you boss, because I never rested. I would work without even complaining. My pay was barely enough to send anything back home. This man, he saw the way that I was working, and then I told him that I had big dreams of returning back to university. He told me that I wanted during the weekends, then I would work with him, being his assistant if he was fixing tractors and some other things, but I won't receive any pay at all. People laughed at me when I would go to work with him, and they said that I just wanted the white people to love me. But I knew what I wanted. I wanted to learn the skills that he had to fix the JCBs, to fix the tractors and other machinery that we had at that farm. I kept on working, and after years, when I saw that now I was okay, that was when I returned back home. Then I went to this other technical college, and I asked them how was it possible for me, since I knew how to do this work as a diesel plant fitter, to get my own accreditation. And then they took me through the process, and I paid the money that was needed, and I was tested with other people as well that had learned on the job, that wanted their certificates, and I passed. After I had passed, that was when I returned back to South Africa, and I did not stay in Messina anymore. I moved to Johannesburg. With the help of my former boss, he assisted me to get a job at the mine. Whilst I was working at the mine, that was when I met my future wife, and we were still dating at that time. And together in early 2012, that was when we started our small company. So I had workers that were working for me. We would repair vehicles, emergency on-site repairs, until we got so big, so much that we were even fixing JCBs as well as tractors. We were making a lot of money. My wife was a supervisor at the mine where I was working, and I was also working as a diesel plant fitter at that mine. So the salaries that we were earning, me and my girlfriend, it was quite a lot. That was when she said we need to get married. And after we had gotten married, we then got our first property in Johannesburg. We were making quite a lot from the business. Our salaries, we would make about 200K. This was in 2012, mind you. So my family back home, they started hating me because they heard that I was now working on the mine and I had opened up a company and I was making enough. So when they heard that I was making about 200K each and every month, and the disadvantage of sharing your source of income with relatives, they never calculated that the woman that I had gotten married to was the one who was the brains behind everything, and she was the reason as to why I was able to achieve what I had at that time. So to them, it was like someone who had just loved me for the sake of money, but they did not look at her situation, that she was my former boss, and we had dated from the time when I did not even have a company. So my cousin brothers, thinking that they will appreciate her, when I brought them to South Africa, they were working at my auto shop. They started disrespecting her, calling her a gold digger, yet at work she was my boss. Then we fought a bit, me and my wife, until I said I do not want to do that business anymore because it was confusing me in my marriage as well, my relationship with my relatives, because at that time I did not know that my relatives, they had evil intentions. They did not love me, but they loved the opportunities that I had gotten because of this South African woman that I had married. It was in late 2014 when me and my wife thought about opening up another company, and by God's grace, that was when we won a 5.3 million tender. But before this had happened, there was this other cousin sister of mine who had came to South Africa, and I had borrowed her some money. So she used to work as a maid, and then she was like, can you borrow me some money so that I can start my small business? She would go to Jamestown, go to Maravastad, where she would buy clothes and send the clothes to Zim in bulk, and she will sell the clothes in Zim. So I gave her the money, but she never returned back the money to me. I then said, since she is a relative, I will ask her later. But my wife said that she wanted that money. And I then went with my wife to the place where my sister was working and staying. She started crying in front of her boss because the money that I had borrowed to him, it was close to 14,000 rands, and my wife wanted that money back because it had been a very long time since she had borrowed that money, and she was making money but not repaying the money. I even told him to pay me the money in installments, because what she was doing, she was causing problems in my life. Me and my wife, we were always fighting about the money that I had borrowed to my relative. She cried a lot and she said, you are millionaires, but here you are busy fighting with me because I borrowed this money. So we left her. I did not know that when I had asked her for the money that she had borrowed from me, she was going to bewitch me. That is what my closest relative did to me. My own sister, my blood, she bewitched me because I was the one who had borrowed her money so that she can start a small business. I was now like an enemy to her. So we got excited when we won that 5.3 million tender to overhaul diesel generators at a cluster of gold mines here in Johannesburg. I celebrated, me and my wife, we celebrated. Definitely, we were millionaires. For the first time, I allowed myself to dream, to think of something that was far much better. Brother Nashi, the money did not arrive in time. The money came, but when this money came, we were deep in debt. When this money came, Brother Nashi, you won't even believe it, because we had gotten the contract and we were already doing the work. Whenever we would try to get the payment, we had to submit invoices after invoices. The head office is relocating, funds are under urgent review, technical audits are pending. We kept on chasing the funds. I did not know that I was bewitched by my own relatives who thought that my wife, who was my rock, was a gold digger. That's why they were punishing me, punishing their own blood with everything that I went through to be who I am today. When I was working on the farm, being mistreated sometimes, when I will do something wrong, they were never there. But when I made it, I remembered them and I said, come to South Africa. I will assist you to get jobs. I have a company. Come and work. Learn to be mechanics and you can do something better with your lives. Our debts were mounting. The mortgage was not being paid. Suppliers demanded payment. The bank kept on slapping penalties upon penalties, and our small workshop that we were leasing in Jamestown was at risk. By mid-2016, we were about 2 million in debt, but I knew that the money one day was going to come. And when this money came, like I was so stressed so much that the money came and it just went past our account because of the money that we were borrowing. I did not even believe that my own relatives could bewitch me in such a cruel way, so much that in my life I had 5.3 million, but I had that money in my account. The devil made sure that all of that money, it went towards repaying the people that I was owing. I was desperate for relief. Me and my wife, we were fighting a lot because of the unpaid debts that we had. I began attending Sunday services at this other church in Mamelodi, and then there was this other pastor who was from our country. This man, one day, he said, my son, there is something that I have to tell you, but the Holy Spirit has not yet revealed it to me. He kept on telling me this each and every Sunday. He'll be like, my son, there is something that I want to tell you, but the Holy Spirit has not yet revealed it to me. I will tell you one day. Then when he was preaching, he just pointed at me and he said that, can you stand up, Brother Moyo? And then when I stood up, he then said, the Holy Spirit is telling me to tell you that your harvest has failed because someone amongst your kin borrowed from you and tied that money to a grave in the mountain. I see the mountain. I see your relative. The Spirit has cursed your profit. You will sow seed, and indeed you will see your crops growing, and you will harvest like what everyone is doing. But after you would have harvested, the birds of the air will come and pick up everything, leaving you with nothing. So I kept on thinking about this. After church, we prayed about it. And then that was when I spoke with my wife about what the pastor had told me, and she said, it is obvious, it is your sister. Who else did you borrow money? Or did you borrow money to one of your relatives behind my back? She was already angry at me, blaming me for all of the misfortunes that we had faced. I then returned back to Zim. When I returned back to Zim, I was assisted, to tell you the truth, by a red garment prophet. The man assisted me. I do not want to lie. I went to him, and when I went to him, this man, before I could even tell him my own name, he said, you are Tendai, and you have come here because of what is happening in your life. He said, I can see that you once had millions in your account. Did you even buy an underwear with the millions that you had in your account? I started crying, Brother Nashi, because that is exactly what happened. I could not even buy anything with that money when we finally got paid, because all of it just went to the bills that we were owing, and the people that were fighting against us in court, those that had supplied us with the material, some that had supplied us with labor, they were already fighting with us. So the money just vanished into thin air, and we did not make any profit from that tender. How painful it is to this very day. The man then said, do not cry, for at my shrine no one is allowed to cry. The Holy Spirit is here, and he does not want to see you crying. And that was when I was told that my sister she had gotten that 5 million in the spiritual realm. She took that money from me and she had it in the spiritual realm. The time when I was saying that people were not paying us, those that were supposed to make the payment, there was one excuse after the other. The money was in the spiritual realm. And after we had gotten so much credit, that was when the money was released, for it was no longer money. It came into my account, and as soon as it entered into our business bank account, all of it was taken by the people that we were owing. Those were the misfortunes that befell me. She went into a mountain with this other traditional healer. When she went into that mountain with her traditional healer, she had the money that I had borrowed to her. Of course, I had borrowed her the money and she used some of it. But when people want to bewitch you, she kept that money and she went with it to Zim, part of that money that I had borrowed to her. This prophet said, do you know that there is a mountain there in Chipinge, and there is a grave in the mountains of someone that died during the war, and on that grave there is 10,000 rands. This money, it was wrapped in 5 plastic bags, and after they had wrapped the money in 5 plastic bags, they took a red garment, they tied a red garment and a small black bag that is made of a black cloth, and then they tied it to the grave. That money is still there in that mountain, but we are going to destroy this curse. So when she was in that mountain with that traditional healer, that was when she spoke with the spirit of that person who was buried in that grave and said, I have this other relative of mine who is in South Africa. This person is owing me a lot of money. So he does not want to give me all of my money at once. He has given me this money. May you please wake up and work with me. Go to him and collect all the money that you will be making and give it to me, because he has since refused to cooperate and to give me back my money. I did not owe her anything. As a matter of fact, I felt sorry for her as a single mother. I knew that the challenges that she was facing, it was quite a lot. And I had said, God, I do not want to become a millionaire here in South Africa, yet my relatives will be working as maids. Some of them will be working as gardeners. And then when they will talk about me and my wife, they will say, what else do you expect from a man who is married to a South African? She is finishing all of his money. Black people, I do not know what you want. After I had assisted them, but this is how she repaid me. She made an oath on that grave. Then that spirit came and started to cause a lot of misfortunes. When things were hard for me and my wife, all of my relatives, everyone that I trained to be a mechanic, they are based here in Johannesburg. When we were suffering, me and my wife, they stopped visiting us. It was as if I was not related to them. Oh, how quick they had forgotten that when they came here, none of them even knew how to use a spanner, but I helped them one by one. And then I realized that when days are tough, no one will be there with you. Your relatives are only there to celebrate with you when you have achieved something. When you are having a difficult time, they will pretend as if you are not related at all. That prophet then helped me with the cleansing ceremony, and I returned back to South Africa. Me and my wife, we are still trying to get back on our feet. On paper, we are millionaires, but there are some things that we are still trying to recover since that time to this very day. That is my own confession. You can learn from my mistake, please. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our brother. That was the translation of the message that he sent to me. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world.